Don't try to sneak into your room like that. I know what you've got behind your back. Records. More new records.
All right, it's AXPONA 2024. Here we are in the registration area, and it's very crowded so far. I've got a new camera, and we're going to hope that it works correctly. So let's go right into this Schaumburg ballroom and see what we got here. It's all headphones. We're not going to cover headphones for now. So Arturo.
Yes.
You founded Access Audio and you sold Access Audio, but you have a tier consultancy with them to get them keep them on their feet and make sure they do the right thing.
They've been doing the right thing since day one.
And so, what is this news that you told me about?
I brought GoII in 1995. Before then, they hadn't been distributed.
Right.
And it was through a colleague who worked for Pioneer. He came to my office in Gardena and said, "Hey Art, you got to check out this cartridge. It's called GoII." And it was a Wuxi Vermilion.
Oh.
And I said, great. And so I contacted GoII directly back then, and they said, Prima Art, you can have the distribution. And then, it went through other distributors.
Yes.
But since Sugano has passed away last year, the family did not want to continue with building the GoII cartridges. So now, I went back to Japan in March this year, 2024. I contacted his actual craftsman that built all his cartridges, and he has all the parts needed to build or rebuild the GoII cartridges. The family does not want to continue the brand anymore, but however, the craftsman said it was okay for him to keep repairing them.
Fantastic.
Yes. So if anybody needs a GoII repaired, they should just get in touch with me or one of my dealers worldwide. It could be we have a place in Europe. In Frankfurt, we have one in Japan directly, and we have one here in the United States.
And how do they get in touch with you?
Through Access Audio.
In America.
In America first.
Let's take a quick look around. Hello, Frank Dars.
Hello there. Welcome to PS Audio.
What's going on? Anything I should know about? Is this a new phono preamp, or is this the original?
No, it's right here. It's the new Strata integrated.
Well, I'm talking about. I'm on the vinyl side of things,
Phono stage. The previous Strata didn't have a phono stage. This one does.
So this is the Stellar. This is the one that I reviewed. It's the same one, right?
Yeah.
And this is a new one?
Well, that's a new Strata integrated.
This is the Sprout 100.
So this is Sprout 100 and a Strata Mark II. Yeah, we're going to be coming out with this guy here most likely next month.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
And this is an integrated amplifier?
Yep, integrated amplifier.
150 watts. And
Yep.
is it Class D?
Class D, yes, it is.
And it's got an exceptional moving coil, moving magnet phono input. Okay.
100%.
All right, now we're going to go to the MoFi distribution room. Let's see what they got. Looks like a lot of static displays. Very busy in here. Very busy. There's a little Fuen. Those are the best lifters. So when you fall asleep in the middle of listening to records, it lifts up at the end. The best. It's not cheap, but it's worth it. Okay, then we have I reviewed this turntable, I believe. Okay. No, I didn't review this turntable. I reviewed this turntable. This is the EMT 928. I did review this turntable. Very nice turntable. There's the phono preamp. I reviewed that also. Very nice phono preamp. Bring it. All right, so you've got a new. This is the new speaker stand right here.
This is the new MoFi 4.888 Triple 8.
And that's reasonably priced. This is the price. How much?
Just under 5,000 repair.
Sounds good even in here. This is the new Diego speaker.
New Diego Coax 611 that are custom fitted.
Okay.
And then we're playing a musical self turntable.
Yes, I reviewed that.
With an EMT tone dose phono partner.
Now, are you distributing this?
We are. Yeah, we bought musical last year from Roy.
Ah. Okay, so now we can just be insulting to everybody.
Full time.
Okay. That's a really good table.
This is a great table.
Yeah, very good.
We're driving it with a MoFi Master Phono preamplifier.
Right, I know it well. And what's this?
That's an Eckler mixer, so that allows us to transition between two different systems and two turntables throughout the show.
That's just something else entirely.
That's somebody, we don't distribute that. And then we're using the Master Sound 845 monoblock amps to power the MoFi.
Hey,
How are you, Mikey?
I'm good. How are you?
Very fine. Good to see you. Acoustic signatures and songs.
Put a $20 gold piece on my watch chain.
Speaker brand from the UK is Stratton.
So the boys will know I died.
Okay, I'm gonna walk around here.
Yes, go ahead.
I've got to review one of these Rode turntables. I haven't done it yet, and I really need to. I hope this new system is working out here. It's scary coming to a hi-fi show and using a new camera. I have to hope that it's working. I'm very familiar with that one, yeah. I don't think my wife would like this in our house.
This and that, trying to educate and give information.
Yep. Okay. All right, let's see what the Griffin people are doing. They have a static display going here.
Excuse me, we're not allowed in this room. Sorry. Sorry, no, we're...
Hello.
Hello, Michael, how are you?
They let anyone
Good
in
morning.
here. Good morning, darling. How
What do you
are
what do you got here to show us?
Well, today I'm talking with JJ French.
Yes, I know him.
About...
Do you know I write for him now?
Yeah, good for you. Good for you. Good for him.
I'm a slave to
Yeah,
Fremer.
yeah, that's right.
Everyone's
They
a
all
slave
are.
to Fremer,
That's right.
except Mrs. Fremer.
Mrs.
He's a
Fremer.
slave to Mrs.
Exactly.
Fremer.
The 333.
This is the brand new 333. There's a rumor that someone from Tracking Angle will be getting this right after the show. It's
Yes.
going to be shipped. The one upstairs will be shipped right after the show. We're also showing the new EOS 5. Now, that might not be a real speaker. That might just be a dramatization of
It is.
one. But we do have the real ones upstairs in 1445.
Okay.
That takes the EOS 2, which we came out with 2 years ago, and it turns it into a three-way, four-driver, absolutely full-range monster. It's bigger than the picture, but it's not super big. It's, I think, 46 inches tall.
Yeah. And this amplifier puts out what couple hundred a channel?
333 per channel.
Oh, that's why it's called 333.
Not just a clever name.
Okay, per channel.
And
And what
per
does it what does it cost?
$24,990, and then we have phono and DAC modules available.
Oh, okay.
They have not shipped yet, but they will be also. The phono module will actually have balanced inputs only,
Okay.
completely redesigned and extremely high end.
How much extra will those modules
I
be?
believe.
Good question.
I believe this is ballpark, 6 for phono and 7 for DAC. I believe, and that's close, but it's like hand grenades. It's close.
Sure. Sure.
Or bocce.
Okay, thank you, Anthony.
There's something much more important I need to show you.
Okay,
but
who
wait,
is she?
There's more.
Okay.
Come.
But wait, okay.
Come with me. This is the power zone. I thought it should be called the erogenous zone, but
of
it's
course.
just the power zone. This is a new technology. It uses conductor modules invented by a guy named Paul Hafner. The theory is that, and this is the most dumbed down I can do it because it's the only thing I can understand.
Okay.
But it is. They say that the flow of electrons is randomized by the conductor and creates noise and inefficiency, kind of like turbulence in a car or an airplane.
Got
that
it.
isn't
Okay.
aerodynamic.
And this straightens out the electrons?
Yes, it actually uses special conductor modules that optimize the flow of electrons reduces noise, reduces heat, reduces inefficiency, zero current limiting. In fact, it should actually enhance currents because...
So you can plug big amplifiers into this?
Absolutely. There's two versions, a 20 amp and a 40 amp.
And what is this going to cost?
14 for the 20 amp, 17.5 for the 40 amp.
Well, that would be interesting to try out.
Yeah. Well, I'm driving this bad boy home from New York, so if you can, get a machete and hack me away to your listening your rack, I will bring it over for you and me to listen to together.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Anthony. What's your favorite kind of music, I'm sure?
I bought this. I waited for like almost a year.
Loaded with weapons, packed ready to go. Heard some grave sights out on the highway, place where nobody knows. The sound of fire, up in business, I'm getting used to it now.
Good morning. Good morning.
Is Mr. Alphason here?
Mr. Alphason was up at the soda. He will be here shortly. If you want, I can give him a jingle and he can come down.
No, that's okay. I'll run into it at some point.
Yeah, the turntable's doing a great job upstairs.
So the important thing is that this is a rejiggered Alphason tone arm. He's making them again. Is that the story?
Yes, sir.
And who's distributing them in the United States? Do you know?
Right now we have soda turntables that is selling the tone arm, and we have an announcement to make for nationwide distribution next week.
I see. And what's your involvement?
I am the technical support department and the local warehouse.
I see. HR 200S.
Yep.
And what is it selling for?
Well, there are different flavors. He has, forgetting whether it's a 9, 10 inch or 17. The tone arms go from $2,500 to $4,900, $8,000. And there's also an interesting unit that he didn't bring here. We didn't want to confuse the marketplace.
Yes.
It's a VTA adjustment wirelessly on the fly with a LCD display.
I like that.
Yep.
Okay.
And he is way above my pay grade.
His name is
Knowles. Well, Mike Knowles.
Mike Knowles.
Yeah, 1980 he invented the real tone arm, SME. He had a patent, but he couldn't afford the patent.
Right there.
Okay, home on the range. Okay, great. Thank you, Charles. Everybody knows you. Everybody knows this.
So between J.R. Beauclair,
yes,
who's looking at adjusting tone arms, adjusting tone arms and cartridges,
yes,
having now the resonances and noises removed internally, both in the wiring and in the tone arm itself, with Mike, then us having a restored record where you're playing the reflection of the stamper,
yes,
and then using Norm's pads, it's the best bang for your analog dollar.
Thank you, Charles. If you do say so yourself. Okay.
I do. Thank you.
Thank you. It means nothing. This is also from Mike. Okay.
Yeah, this is Mike's development. One of the issues always is getting your wiring onto your cartridge. Here we have a snap-on that goes onto the cartridge itself. That then has all the OFC cables going through the tone arm. So this way here, you're not screwing around, and that's one of the other weakest links because these things are very fine.
So it's for any
cartridge.
Where is it separated so I can see what it is?
I can take this out here, and I'm going to let Mike take it, but this just pops out.
Oh.
So it's a pin array. Okay. Pin on pin.
Yeah, pin on pin. Oh, okay. That's for people who are clumsy fingered, not like me.
Yes.
Okay. Then, all right. Now we're gonna walk the halls here. There's JR selling all this fiddly.
Yeah, this fiddly stuff.
Listen, man, you stick the cartridge in the head shell,
and then don't worry about it.
You set the tracking course. Even that's not really critical. That's a big hype. Whatever it's tracking at, you stick it in and it's perfect.
Yes,
and it sounds great. And it sounds great.
And fine, go ahead and do that. That's fine.
They do.
You can still have good sound and not pay attention.
Okay, let's see. Here are this is show prices. So if you came to the show, you could save some money. That's good. So if I post this tonight and the show's on for 2 more days and people are in the area, they should come by.
Thanks, man.
How you doing?
I am well, man.
We'll have a good time tonight.
Yes, I am looking forward to that.
Yeah, it should be fun.
I'm sorry I wasn't able to bring the wine for it.
Next year.
Out of my control.
Next year.
Yes.
Okay, anything new to show people?
I'm working on a number of super top secret things, but I'm not ready to talk about them yet.
Are you the Oppenheimer of our business?
Yes, I blow things up.
Okay. If you're really serious about setting up your cartridge, this is what you need. If you're not serious about it, just stick it in the head shell and don't worry about it.
Indeed.
Right. Thank you.
All right, cheers.
We're just going to do a quick walkthrough here. It's just... I can't look at the records. I'm not going to be looking at records today. Look, no one's buying records. Vinyl is dead. Can you see? There's a lot more software here. It's here. Look, they're waiting online to pay for records. See that? Don't let anybody tell you that vinyl's not huge again. They're waiting online. See, how you sell things is really important. These are not used records. They're pre-owned records. I like that. Action Bronson, Rare Chandeliers. Now, if that's his new band, my good friend is the bass player in that band.
Has a completely different set of postdocs and graduate students and equipment, and pursues his lifelong interest in
People are buying a lot of records today.
So I want to see the different iterations that contain the highly developed crosstalk cancellation. In addition, you can purchase various versions of software.
Okay, so Julia, even though we're doing a panel tomorrow, why don't you tell me what's new at Delmark? What are you doing? What are you doing with the extensive catalog that you have?
Well, we have a show special, which is right here, and this is our new 2 LP and 2 CD release. This is our 70th anniversary vinyl, which is a new release of our classic blues and a new jazz trio as well. And we also have 4 reel-to-reel releases: Hoodoo Man Blues, Junior Wells, West Side Soul, Magic Sam, Sun Ra, and Jimmy Forrest. We will have a new reel-to-reel release coming this year, newly recorded.
And the tapes are all in good shape?
Yes, they are. And we make the reels made to order from production masters, but it's an all analog process.
Yeah, great. And so you've got an extensive catalog that you can draw from to put reissues out on vinyl.
Correct. And we've done some of that, and we're going to continue to do more. That was a little bit of the premise with our 70th.
Yeah.
But we have definitely an extensive jazz catalog that we plan on remastering and re-releasing.
Yeah, you got a Grant Green record, I know, that I've got.
Grant Green, yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yes. Thank you.
So, Michael Knowles, Alpha Sun UK. Now, you designed this arm originally. It's a legendary arm that the older people know, but a lot of the young people don't. And this is a one-piece. It's titanium, right? You were the first person to really use titanium to fabricate an arm.
We were the first to develop a one-piece arm tube and head shell. Back in the 1978, 79, the Thomas Blue Label cartridge had a compliance of 50 centimeter dyne. And the first tone arm we made had an effective mass of 3 gram, and that's where the one-piece arm tube and head shell came from, to achieve that with optimum rigidity. And then the Orchfond patent ran out on the moving coil cartridge, and a number of very demanding moving coil cartridges came out with very low compliances, putting a lot of energy into the tone arm head shell. So we then scaled it up to an optimum effective mass of 12 grams, and this meant that the stiffness of the arm was something like 4 times stiffer than any other tone arm on the market. And the stiffer the tone arm, the higher the fundamental frequency.
Yes.
The higher the fundamental frequency, the quicker it is to damp and decay.
Yes.
It's much easier to control a higher frequency than a low
Yes.
frequency. And with the low frequency tone arms, typically the aluminium and stainless steel tubes, they can act like a spring delay line. You've got a fundamental frequency of 300-400 cycles in the arm tube, 150 cycles, 200 cycles on the arm board, 75-100 cycles in the springs. You've got a spring delay line.
Yes.
Is that really what you want to be listening to?
No, and now they can measure these things much more easily, and you can see the differences. You hear it first, and then you measure it, and it corroborates.
So we were doing this in 1981, you know?
Flying blind, basically. Could you measure it?
I was the first to mathematically model all the vibrational modes on the tone arm and turntable. And it was designed so we could actually tell you what it would sound like before we made the first mode.
That's the best way to engineer something, is to know what you're getting.
It's a good start.
Now, let me ask you this question. So what is the appropriate compliance of a cartridge that will work best in this arm?
This arm is designed to work best with almost any cartridge.
Regardless of compliance?
Regardless of compliance. When you look at it, the effect, this is the most tonally neutral arm tube and head shell in the industry. We've got the best bearings in the industry. We've got a 3 kilogram preload on these bearings with 0 clearance, not even a nanometer of clearance. And we've got a 50 milligram friction at the stylus. Nobody else can do that.
And what?
So to answer your question, we can, because of the integrity of the arm, we can enable a high compliance cartridge to operate at its optimum, but also we can add what we call the cartridge energy sink, and we can add 10, 15, 20, 25 grams to optimize the effective mass, and it just transforms the performance.
And is it like a mass thing that goes under the head shell?
Yeah, the mass and dampers that go under the head shell, and you can tune the response by trial and error, effectively, iteratively, until you optimize the performance, and it just transforms the performance.
Well, sure. All right, and this is a reasonably priced arm.
This is a state-of-the-art, no-compromise tone arm. It's selling for about $6,500. And then we'll be bringing out a range of tone arms in the old, back in the 80s, 90s, we got the Xenon, so we've got Xenon 2 in the pipeline, and others as well.
And so this is a gimbal bearing?
It's a double gimbal bearing with ceramic bearings. So with a conventional bearing, 80-90% of the tone arms in the industry are using commercially available bearings, which are a deep groove bearing, which was designed for high-speed spindles. Now, if that bearing's going around at high speed, it gets hot, so they allow 3 to 5 microns clearance for expansion. Do you really want 3 to 5 microns movement in your bearings?
No. And how do these things? Doesn't crack in shipping when it's?
The pivots and the balls. You've got a 1 millimeter diameter ball and a 1.6 diameter pivot, but we make them out of a ceramic material, which is second in hardness to diamond. And so we've put a 25 kilo load onto that bearing, and we've still not damaged the bearings.
So it ships fine.
It ships fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And
the packaging's designed so you can drop it on any of the 6 sides from 4 foot, no damage.
You can drop ship it. Right now, can you rotate that tube to adjust azimuth or no?
On this model, no, but we've got a HR200S AZ version where you can adjust the azimuth by a concentric gimbal ring.
Okay.
So it's not affecting the performance of the tone arm in any way, shape or form. And so it's just a simple screw that you unlock, and then every turn of the adjustment screw adjusts by 2.5 degrees.
Oh, okay. Great. Okay.
And then we're also bringing out a vertical tracking angle optimizer. So we've got an assist here. So what I do when I'm setting up the VTA, I set it a little bit high, bring this VTA screw down until the pad is touching the mounting plate.
Okay.
And then if you want to drop it down 0.7 of a millimeter, a 30 thousandths of an inch, you just undo that one turn, and then you drop it, release the locking screw, and it comes down that 30 thousandths of an inch, 0.7 millimeters. Lock it up again, and so that's an assist. But we've got an accessory now that'll be coming out soon, which is the VTA optimizer, and that's an electric. It's got an electric motor, an electric actuator on that, with a remote that you can use from your listening position with an umbilical cord, and you can fine tune the vertical tracking angle by ear.
For each record, and never listen to any music because you're busy adjusting it every time.
Yeah,
that's fine, whatever.
And then we've got a digital readout, so if you do it for each record, you can keep a note of what you've set it at, and then immediately go back to it anytime.
Great. Okay. And you make this in a 9 and a 12-inch version?
We do a 9-inch, a 10.5 inch, and a 12-inch.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the mounting base? Is there any particular?
The mounting base is exactly what we were using back in the 1980s, 1990s, and it's based on the Lin 3-bolt fixing, 229 effective length toner.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you. This is very exciting that you guys are back doing this again. And it's titanium.
Yeah.
Titanium.
Yeah.
How's the price of titanium now compared to the 80s?
The price of everything back in between now and the 80s has just gone through the roof, hasn't it? But
yes.
It's proportional. It's not gone disproportionately.
They're not using it. They're not using it in manufacturing car batteries at this point, right? So it's good.
It is being used more now, and so there are commercial grades readily available.
Okay. Thank you very much, Michael Knowles.
Well, thank you.
Okay, we're going to walk down. Hi there. How are you?
My boss changed it. You said he should say Darlington Labs phono amplifier.
Yes. Now we know. Now we know what this is.
Now we know what this is.
It was a good. It was a good idea, right? Yeah, it was a good idea. Okay, I should review one of these things.
He'll be back. I think he was planning on getting a unit to you.
That'd be good.
He's overdue now.
He's having a baby?
No, I mean
okay.
coming back here.
Nice. Okay. All right. Well, I'll be walking around.
Cool.
Okay. Thank
you.
you.
Good to see you.
Good
I
to see
read
you.
your the tracking angle.
Thank you. It's pretty good.
Oh.
So this is where does this go? Where's it? Is this a room loading thing? Is this a floor thing?
This is noise control product. So what we're doing is we're treating the floors, walls, and ceiling with some sort of decoupling system. Usually either a spring or a rubber or a compressed fiberglass pad type scenario.
And this is best done during construction?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So in other words, I have to tell my wife, we're buying a new house so I can try this out, right?
You're buying a new house and I'm ripping down the drywall to try this out, yes. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, thank you.
The new Estelon XB Diamond Mark II. Estelon's innovative engineering concepts integrate the loudspeaker with the room and its acoustics, building upon newly advanced cabinet and driver systems. The result? The XB Diamond Mark II delivers an emotionally involving listening experience, fully revealing the soundstage and musical details of any recording. Look for a review of the XB Diamond Mark II in an upcoming issue of The Absolute Sound.
Magnetic heads.
What you can do, you can keep your Ampex sticker on there if you want to, but we can send you still a clear one, you just have another cut. Just have another area of the reel. So at least you know.
Michael, we got our sign just for you, buddy.
I saw that. Okay, these guys are. There's a lot of interesting record dealers here. Audio technical folks.
We're here to show people our goods, and this room is perfect for that. You've seen our tourbillon before, the reel-to-reel player that we have. Our integrated amp, our solitaire, which we've had in the past. This is new for us now. The perambulator turntable and the combobulator tone arms. Titanium tone arms, solid aluminum. The whole thing weighs about 90 pounds. And it cost us a tenth of state-of-the-art for turntable.
What is it going to cost?
This machine here, believe it or not, is about 30K. So reasonable. And the combobulator tone arms are about 9K for each tone.
Is it an AC synchronous motor you're using?
Let's ask the man himself.
Let's.
Costas.
Oh!
Hey, man.
Michael, do you know Per Lundahl from Lundahl Transformers?
I have a bunch of his Transformers at home right now. They're taking me a little bit more time to write about them than I wish.
Michael is one of the most important audio reviewers in the world. And Per makes some of the best Transformers.
Yes, I know.
So how are you?
So tell me about your turntable.
Turntable, the perambulator. It's using Maxon motors, very, very quiet, using unusual belts. The bearing is a sintered bronze, but double spinning. In other words, the sintered bronze is not fixed, it actually spins as well.
Oh.
So it's a bit unusual. Sapphire base, round diamond ball in its own special cup. The actual platter is made from an aluminium, but it's also elongated, it's not just flat. So therefore it dissipates the energy. And there's a plastic acrylic top. And in the acrylic top, where the label area is, it's open. So therefore the label does not, you don't get the reflections back and forth.
Right.
So it's quite unusual. And then of course you've got the abstract shape, which helps evacuate a lot of the, and you don't get any bouncing from, rectangular resonances.
Right.
Then of course the tone arms are pure titanium, the whole thing. In other words, apart from the actual screws, every piece is made of titanium, which helps. I've learned that the sound is more consistent and more. If you change the
I heard the same cartridge in an aluminum body and in a titanium body, and the difference is ridiculously huge.
And I don't know why. And also I have to tell you, I tried with the arm tube. I also tried sapphire. So I was playing with sapphire 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
I still found the titanium better. And titanium is just one of those materials that has a resonance that's so high that it doesn't bother us in the audio business. Right. And the purity of the sound is unbelievable.
Yeah.
But then you know that.
It's an AC synchronous motor.
Yes, yes.
And is there any kind of special power supply that drives it?
It uses, like a Maxon themselves, have special controllers for really high precision medical instrumentation type stuff. So I use that, and it's been repurposed. And of course then we put a really serious power supply to it. So it's perfectly, it's hard to explain, but the sound, it's really, as you know, just the way you drive the motor has a difference in the sound. So I've played with that for a long, long time. But I was one of the guys who had a Goldman reference even before Harry had his Goldman reference. So I knew from back then how much. But then of course I started playing with tape, as you know.
Yes.
And then I sort of left the the turntable. But luckily the turntable.
There's a lot more records to buy than there is tape to buy. There's a lot of phony tapes going around where people take a SACD and can transfer it to tape.
Sadly.
It's from the master tape.
Yeah, that's all bullshit.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, but and I know, unfortunately, that's what happens in our business.
Yes.
When something becomes popular, people take advantage.
They made this a tape corner, so here's
three different people, like different pieces.
Okay, now we're at the soda booth. very similar lineup to last year, so we're just going to keep moving on.
Helplessly hoping her harlequin hovers nearby and waiting a word, gasping at glimpses of gentle true spirit. He runs, wishing he could fly, only to trip.
Okay, so these are available as separate products?
That's correct. So what you're seeing specifically is a speaker called the SRB Gem, made in amethyst.
SRV or B?
B.
B as in boy.
Like a bookshelf.
Yeah.
And this is the MR sub, like subwoofer, so our marble subwoofer. So in this configuration, this is a specialty pair of speakers.
Right.
About 50,000 per pair because it's gemstone.
Yeah.
About 40,000 per pair because it's white marble. But the products start at 18,000 and 20,000 per pair. So you can buy this complete system in our most popular black granite finish for under 40,000. Yeah, huge power, as you've heard yourself.
Yes.
Frequency response, flat to 16 cycles. All it requires is a modest second amplifier. The system that you're listening to here at AXPONA is 90 watts per channel for the top and about 120 watts per channel for the bottom.
And let's talk about what we're doing here.
Right. So amplification is provided by VAC, a great company. So their new entry-level amplifiers, the Essence 80 monoblocks, are powering the SRB Gem that you see on top. The bass is powered by their 200, the IQ. So this is what we're hearing for the woofers. The preamplifier is the masters, so separate power supply down here and volume control and volume switching. And we're listening to the Lim Climax DSM for streaming.
I know the demo well.
Starts out with a bookshelf, and all of our prices are each at $499 each, so $1,000 a pair.
The surround, so it's not just flapping in the window.
I have several.
And so with that,
Okay, now we're on the first floor where Musical Surroundings has their stuff. Now we're in the corner where there's a lot of good room. So we'll start out in this room right here. Let's see what we got.
Sun didn't shine. I picked up my shovel and I walked to the mine. my soul. You load 16 tons, and what do you get? Another day older and a deeper in debt. Say to Peter, don't you call me, cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. I was born one morning in the drizzling rain.
From your name, even short of the love that we once knew. Calling home in town, even close.
Hello, sir. John. Nice to meet you, Mike. Nice to meet you too.
So the album we're going to talk about today is Sing and Dance with Frank Sinatra, One Step. It's Impex Records' the newest One Step album in the family. So this album is really special because it came at a pivotal moment in both Sinatra history and the history of sound recording. Sinatra's career was starting to diminish around 1950, and he was falling out of favor with his music fans. And Columbia was seriously thinking about dropping him as an artist. Since he was mostly known for his romantic songs or ballads, Sing and Dance was created in an attempt to revive his career. And this is a snappy, jazzy Sinatra album, which was very different from what he was known for back in the 50s. Also at the same time, in the same time period, magnetic tape was being introduced, and the industry was transitioning from the noisy 78 shellac to the more high fidelity, quiet 33. For this reason, Swing and Dance with Frank Sinatra is Sinatra's first album to be conceived and recorded in an entire 10-inch album. This album is also quite unique, is that Impex Record is the first label to use the original analog master tape in 70 years. And Chuck will share a little story about the making of Sing and Dance.
Great, thank you. Do you want to hold on to this?
Yes.
Okay. So, I think you probably love, or at least like Frank Sinatra, you wouldn't be here today. And this is really a very special project for many reasons, some of which Amy touched on and some of which I'll expound on. The first is that it came at a moment when Frank was having a lot of personal and professional issues in his life. Columbia was going to drop him. He did lose his film contract. His agent was letting him go. He had no television show, and he really had hit the skids, as they used to say. And this was Mitch Miller's attempt to bring him back. Mitch told me that he felt that Frank sang tempo songs so well that he could do well with a new 10-inch LP in the jazz idiom, and thus came Sing and Dance with Frank Sinatra, arranged and conducted by George Saravo, who had been doing some charts for Frank's stage shows at the Copa and the Latin Quarter and other nightclub dates that he was doing. So he had relied on Saravo to do the tempo charts and Axel Stordahl to do those beautiful ballads that he had sung throughout the 40s. And it comes to 1950, and this really was special because this album allowed us to hear with the greatest clarity up until this time Sinatra's legendary phrasing, his very crisp and perfect enunciation and articulation phonetically. You know, there are so many hallmarks of why Sinatra was great. One was his phrasing. Obviously, he had learned from Louis Armstrong and Billie Holiday. He tried to emulate Tommy Dorsey's trombone playing when he was a member of the Dorsey Band. But it's much more than that. It's much more than that great back phrasing and the way he would toy with the beat within a measure of music. It was the tonal quality of his voice. It was the warmth. It was the color he brought to an intonated line. Frank just had this rare ability, and it was intuition because he was not a trained musician. He had this rare ability to express and emote exactly what a song was written about. And that's why we love him, and that's why this music is still here 80 years later. People are interested in it. So I thought we would start by playing the first track from the original 10-inch LP, which is the first track on our album, and it's Rodgers and Hart's Lover. And if you listen to it, I would like you to listen for the sound stage a little bit. You'll hear a really nice sound stage, even though it's mono, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes. The instrumentation, great arrangement, very snappy. It's all of 2 minutes long. And of course, you can hear the legendary Sinatra vocal quality and phrasing. And we'll come back and talk a little bit more about the album and how we restored it right after this.
The album is 45 RPM, 2-disc, pressed at RTI, mastered by Chris Bellman and Bob Donnelly, and it's on VR 900 vinyl formulation.
These are the eddy currents. And all of those will sort of produce a loss, because if you have a current flowing in conductive material, it's not superconductive, there's a resistance in the material, you will lose energy. You will dissipate some kind of energy in the material. Not dissipate it so that you can feel it, but you will still lose something. And we don't want that. So what do we do to reduce this? So first of all, we can try to sort of make a tube. So now it's a full tube. We take away the middle part, and now you can see that all those currents that were in fact in the middle part, they're also gone. So we already now have reduced the number of eddy currents, we have reduced the loss, and therefore we have a more true musical signal coming out of the coils. And if we go one step further, like this, you see I made the split on top, and now we cannot have the big currents flowing around anymore. Now we can only have very small currents flowing around in this very thin-walled tube. So in this way, we can reduce the number of currents on the amount of energy that we are losing. And maybe you would ask, but now we do not have this much material left to conduct the magnetic field, because now we are taking a lot of material away, but we have sufficient material left, because this magnetic field flowing is very, very small, very weak. So we have a lot of material left to take care of the magnetic field. But this is basically what we try to do to reduce this, these eddy currents. But what does that do for the sound? Next question. And eddy currents are biggest at the high frequencies. The quicker, the faster the magnetic field is changing, the more eddy currents you will produce. So this will affect the high frequency response of the cartridge. And if you look at that for a cartridge with massive hole pins, where you had really eddy currents all over the place, to this one, you can see it extremely clearly on the high frequency response. This one would have a straight frequency response, where if you go for the massive hole pin, you would roll off. For the DJs, it's in fact nice for them that it rolls off a little bit, because this is what they want. So it makes sense for us to use the massive hole pins for the DJ cartridges. And also at the end, it's also about cost, and using a massive hole pin is also considerably cheaper than using these split hole pins. But these split hole pins, they were originally born for the Super OM cartridge, and of course we are now also using them in the 2M cartridge. So this is pretty unique autophone technology in order to avoid loss. And this is some of the words you will hear a lot from me in this talk, because a lot of those things that happens in a cartridge that you do not want, it's about that you're losing energy, something, you're losing some signal somewhere. And of course you do not want to lose it. You want to have everything that has been detected by the stylus in the groove comes up through the candle. You want to have that out in the coils, so it can come out in the preamp and you can listen to it. So the next thing is about the bodies, the housings. I guess some of you can remember 16 years ago, for our 90th anniversary, Autophone launched the MC-A90, but also an MCU and an SPU A90. For both of these, we were using SLM technology to produce the bodies. And that was the first time we employed this technology. So SLM is a, well, you might have heard about SLS technology, which is about sintering together small plastic particles, typical nylon. This is also about sintering together small particles, but this time made out of metal. And for the A90 and MC-A90, we were using, we were not using, but the company producing these for us, they were using then stainless steel L360 as the powder to make those bodies. And what you do, the name says it, additive manufacturing, is that you build it up. So the body is built up, not like you do in a normal way, where you put a billet of whatever material into your CNC machine, you push a button, and then the CNC machine takes away what you do not want. Then you are left with what you want. This is the other way around. You start with scratch, and then you build it up, and then you end up with what you want. So we end up with what you want in both ways, but also in additive manufacturing, you can do designs that you cannot do in subtractive manufacturing, because you are limited to what a CNC machine can do in different ways. So you have more freedom of design to do what you want to do. And most important, very important, is that we can make an internal structure. You can make an internal structure in a piece of metal that looks solid from the outside, but inside it's not solid, because it has been built up layer by layer. So you can decide while you build it up how you want it to look inside. Because we want a very homogeneous stationary magnetic field. Okay, so what do we do? I'm not happy with this, and now I'm more happy. So what do? We put on, so we put on this field stabilizing element, and you can see with those, thank you, blue lines, you have the current flowing around in the cylinder. And if you now look at the field lines, those field lines now really show that we are back to where we wanted to be. They have been stabilized. So, just one more time. So we have the nice field. Now it's disturbed. Then we put on field stabilizing element. The current will produce a counter magnetic field, and we are back to where we wanted to be from the beginning. So now the armature can move without really annoying us. And of course another way to come around this is to use a non-magnetic armature, because then nothing like this would happen. And this is what we use in our MC Diamond. That's a non-magnetic armature. And in fact, in the MC-A95, MC Verismo, and also the Winfeld TI, we use a semi-non-magnetic armature. We still need some help from the armature to have enough output voltage, but it's not that magnetic as pure iron. So in fact, this is the MC-A95 you're looking at. So the need for the field stabilizing element is not as big here as it is, for instance, in the cadenza Bronx, where we use it. But this is used in the cadenza Bronx. And this is also part of the really nice high-resolution sound you get out of the cadenza Bronx, which in turn also make it very, very popular for classical music. Next up, wide range damping. So you see I peeled off the field stabilizing element now. We have the armature with the coils, and then we have, let me just go to, and then on my cursor again, and then we have one piece of rubber suspension. I have one more piece of rubber suspension in here, and then I have a disc, a metal disc in between. This metal disc we want to be as heavy as possible, so we would use something like gold or platinum for that. So rubber, a disc, heavy I call it, and rubber suspension. If you don't use wide range damping system, you just have one piece of rubber. One piece of rubber taking care of what's going on. And this is what most MC cartridges have. Also MC cartridge not produced by Autophone, but also our cadenza, as an example, red, blue, Bronx, they have one rubber suspension, whereas the black uses the wide range damping system. The wide range damping system is also used in all our exclusive models. So what does it do? A rubber suspension or rubber damper has to sort of overcome a compromise, because you want the stylus on the cantilever to move as freely as possible. So you need to have really nice high compliance. But at the same time you also want to have damping to dampen this stylus vinyl resonance that you have. But the bad thing is that these two are counteracting each other, because a hard piece of rubber will give the best damping, but a soft piece of rubber will give the highest compliance. So you need to find a compromise. In many things in a cartridge design you need to do compromises. And that's okay. But for the wide range damping system, we're trying to have best of both at the same time. So what happens is, if you move at a very high frequency content from the groove, then only the front, only this rubber suspension will be into play, because the heavy disc will decouple the last, or the rear rubber suspension. So it's only the front one which will be in place, which means that it's harder, and this means that the damping is higher, and we want to have damping at high frequencies. If you go to low frequencies, then the platinum disc or gold disc will not matter. So all three pieces, the two rubber pieces and the metal disc, will move at the same time. You will have a higher compliance and, well, better trackability. So in this way, this compound can make sure that we have both nice compliance, nice damping over a wide range of frequency, therefore, well, wide range damping. I have a small video showing this one as well. So let's put some coils on the armature, make the assembly, and then we have the movement. I will repeat this. So I lost my cursor. Okay, so what you see, if you look closer, then you will see two kinds of movement. You will see one at a higher frequency and one at a lower frequency. And if you see the one at the higher frequency, it will only be the front suspension which is moving, and if you see the one at the low frequency, you will see that both the disc and the two rubber suspension will be moving at the same time. So let me play it again. I can repeat it. You see low frequency, high frequency. It works pretty nice. So it's a nice benefit to overcome this compromise that you have in the cartridge design. The last thing I will talk about is this, maybe that people think is a small, stupid component, this rubber suspension or rubber damper sitting around. Well, we just talked about it now that the wide range damping system can help us out. But you must remember, this is the interface between the moving parts and the stationary parts. I mean, if that does not behave the right way, then no matter what kind of stylus or cantilever you use, or what kind of housing you use, if the interface is not right, making sure that the stylus can do what it's supposed to do in the groove, and you don't have anything to interfere with it, then forget it. So, rubber is extremely important in cartridges. At Autophone, and I think it's pretty unique in cartridge manufacturing, we have our own in-house development and production of rubber. So this means that we can control every step of the process and everything. If we make a new cartridge, we can make the development of the new rubber ourselves and get exactly the properties that we want. And this has been like this since the 80s. Back before the 80s, we were also buying rubber suspensions at certain manufacturers, but since the 80s, we've been doing this by ourselves. I have a small video showing you what this looks like. So you have a lot of ingredients that you now start to mix. This is in the raw rubber you have. So these rolls are heated. You put different ingredients into it. This is the vitamin pills. You see it gets nice black. It takes quite a long while to do this mixing in order to have the mixing done right. So the operator will then peel off this rubber and take off a sample. From this sample, she will produce a sample specimen like this. It's just been vulcanized in that press you saw. So a nice small disc. We put this into a measurement machine to measure Shaw value. That means how hard is this? And we put it into a different measuring device to check out if the vulcanization process has been complete. And if this looks as it's supposed to, then we can use this for production of rubber suspensions, which is what you see here. So again, you put them into a press. It's vulcanized. It's pretty hot. You take them out. And then they are now sitting on this plate. And now under microscope, the operator is inspecting all of them and then punching them out with a toothpick. Toothpick is a nice tool for this. So these are now suspensions for the 2M cartridges. This is how it works. But it's handmade, you can say, all the way through. And this is now our own suspension. Lately, we also looked into some new kind of compound where we are using multi-wall carbon nanotubes. That's a nice name. Nanotubes is of course some kind of buzz thing. Nanotubes, you can use it all over the place. If you look at physical properties for the nanotubes, they're extremely strong compared to the size, and it's really interesting thing to look into. We are using it as a filler. So now it's a filler in the rest of the rubber. But it's not just powder. This is now a structure that you put into it. Very tiny structure, but still a structure that you put into the rubber. And this now gives us some possibilities that we do not have with the very, very ordinary way that we have been producing rubber earlier. This compromise I'm talking about between hardness to have the damping and softness to have the compliance, in fact, it's easier to reach a good compromise with this new kind of rubber. So for all our new cartridges, we're using this kind of compound with multi-walled carbon nanotubes. And it really makes a difference for the sound of the cartridge. And of course, that's what it's about. So to conclude, and I guess you had maybe an idea about that I really am into technology, and yes, I am. Of course I am. It's fun. It's nice. But I'm into it also because it makes a difference for the sound. It makes a difference for the sound experience. So when you're listening to cartridges where we employed these technologies, you will hear enhanced sound. And this is what's about. We want to listen. We want to listen to music and enjoy the music. That's what it's all about. Thank you for listening.